privacy, and and then business integrity. Okay, that is very important. Then previously there was completely wired network. Now it has changed to the mobile workforce and public wireless network. That's why security is the major concern. Different types of attacks are there. Okay, inside attacks, outside attacks. Okay, so that you need to protect your entire network and complete systems with these attacks. Consequences, if at all security is not there. Okay, IP stolen or problem with the IP, system downtime, productivity loss, business reputation loss. At the end, the important is the financial loss. Okay, the main crux. Okay, so if your business is relying on the internet, you need to have security in place. Then this is interesting slide what we have discussed. Attackers and defenders. That's why job of defender is critical. One is defending all the points, and at the end convincing the management for giving importance to the security, because there are no direct returns from that particular point. Because what we have discussed is security, if I want to put tight security in place, that costs me from 50,000 to 50 lakhs. Okay, so that depends upon the administrator how he can implement that with the system. So that's why that job is critical. Then very interesting is SD3 framework, which is when we should start thinking about the security is design, development and deployment. All the phases you need to think about the security. Okay, at the time of design you need to take into account architecture and threat analysis. By default, you need to reduce the surface area, privileges you need to put into account. At the time of deployment, you need to train the people so that they can use it properly. Otherwise, again, problem may occur because of clicks here and there and unnecessary opening some applications which are not essentially required. There are different security techniques. For the data encryption, hashing, digital signature, digital certificates, many technologies are in place. Secure communication is one of the aspects, whereas it is in the wired and wireless, different things you need to take into account. From the user perspective, authorization and authentication must be in place so that only authorized users can use the system, or authorized devices can use the system. You can implement as per your requirement. So firewalls is typically perimeter security, okay, whereas no need to implement individual device level security. Once you protect your network, that can be implemented for all the systems so that you can put certain rules there. Then we have discussed different attacks, not necessary here in detail. Firewall are different types, which is suitable for your organization. That's why we are going to discuss what are the characteristics and design principle for this. Okay. Basically, firewall is single choke point so that each and every packet or traffic going outside or coming inside must pass through that, so that you have entire control on that. Okay. It should act as a interconnection between the two networks, so that same level of trust. You will not feel that you are entering into the other network. Okay. Authorized traffic only is allowed so that IDS kind of system can be implemented. Nowadays, it comes with the bundle. Okay, IDS is intrusion detection system, prevention system, and many other systems are in place. So in one bundle, you'll get all the things in the firewall. That is today's scenario. So that with the Cisco and many other players are there, which are there in the security. So basic idea is parametric defense. Okay, so that your intranet get protected. So I discussed different terminologies, okay, which are coming into the picture. That is DMZ, filtering, guard, proxy, and all these things what we have discussed. As far as properties are concerned, okay, three important things. it should be at the edge, so that what we discuss is where your NAT router is there, okay, which is connecting intranet and internet. At that point, firewall is suitable. So only authorized traffic is defined. But in many cases, when you put only single firewall for the very big organization, okay, that should not become a bottleneck. Okay, because if at all inside the organization there are 1,000 machines and all 1,000 machines are accessing the internet, at that point, if your firewall is not able to handle that particular traffic, that becomes the bottleneck. It should not be the case. That's why there are many aspects. One is called as distributed, one is called as single point, but at the same time, you have to keep the redundancy. Okay, that is very important and interesting. So as far as design principles are concerned, we need to take characteristics, types, and configuration into account. So all these three together will give you nice configuration or other parts. So what you can see after discussion is no single available firewall is suitable. Okay, you need to go for the combinations. And that is called as how you are configuring your firewall scenario in your network. So to implement the firewall, what is the requirement? Now from this point we'll discuss in detail. To implement the firewall, what is important is you need to have a complete study of your existing network. Okay, existing network in the case, what is the spread of the network? Okay, how many machines are there in the network? What kind of applications they are using? What kind of traffic is there in the network? Okay, all this you need to take into account. What kind of services your organization is providing? Services in the sense all application layer protocol, whether the file server is there, whether the web server is there, whether the database server is there. So on that basis, accesses from outside and inside are there. And very important is what we want to protect. Okay, whether we want to protect the systems or data or the systems, on that basis, the configuration changes. Okay. And if at all, this is a very vast changing field, new technologies are coming. So if at all change in the technology takes place, whether your firewall can able to handle that particular part. Otherwise, again, you have to change the entire thing. That investment goes into toss or dead. So before design a firewall, you need to understand completely overall organization structure, and that can be a firewall function by the host and distribute the function among number of hosts. Okay, so whether the single firewall is suitable, whether the configuration is required, or what kind of things are essentially needed, that you need to understand. So it is between internet and intranet, so control link must be provided. This repetition, that's why we are not going. Now this is important. What are the different characteristics we need to cover or we need to understand from the firewall? One very important is, service control. Okay, what kind of services your organization is providing, inbound and outbound? Okay, means from inside, from outside. On that basis, you need to select the typical firewall. Okay, so type of internet services. Inbound and outbound corresponds to something. If you have your organization FTP server, what is requirement is from outside you need to give the access to the file transfer, FTP, or you want to download data from the outside, again you need to give outside. So this is called as inbound and outbound. And what kind of services? Okay, what kind of services? I can block the multimedia traffic, I can block the typical huge data traffic. These kind of things are in place. So service control. Second is direction control. That is again very important, that I need such a scenario that nobody from outside can immediately come into the system and download the file. So FTP is the typical service which is file transfer. So this is in network. This is out network, or what you can say is the intranet and internet. So direction control is this. So if I say FTP, simple protocol, this is not allowed, but this is allowed. Any inside machine can do FTP to the outside machine, but not any outside machine can carry out the FTP for this. So this can be possible, and this is called as direction control. This is direction control, inside and outside. What kind of services you need to give typical access. User-based control, that is in place because every user is having credentials that I want to give the access to users, so I can make the groups, the first year, second year, third year, final year, faculty, PG, like that, and I can allocate the particular things to the group, and ultimately it is percolated to the users because that user is member of that group. So here, interestingly, you can control individual user, you can control the groups, you can control number of groups. Okay, everything is possible. And again, you can have control on the bandwidth, you can have control on the applications, you can have control on the direction, you can have control on the services. So based on your requirement, you can configure that for the users. Means I want all these social media site access is not for the first year student, but that can be allowed for the final year student. Okay, this is typically called as user control. Okay, behavior control. Okay, behavior control is particular services which are used can be controlled using this. Okay, so these are the 4 important characteristics: service control, direction control, user control, behavior control. Okay. Now types of firewall, what available in the market. It's called as packet filter routers. Packet filter routers. Okay. So what you can implement is you can put the simple device, which is router, at the edge. Okay. So it is having 2 interfaces simply. One is connected to the outside intranet, one is connected to the inside internet. So whatever the traffic going on here can be filtered. Sorry. Can be filtered. Okay, filtering is just check that if allowed, send it to the inside or outside. If not, drop the packet. So only 2 actions, allowed or blocked. Okay. Second is application level gateway, which currently it is called as proxy. Okay, whereas I can put the machine at the edge, and depending upon what kind of application access is there, how it will identify the applications. How it will identify the applications? This is the IP or complete packet. There is a header and there is a data. So in the header also IP header and TCP header or port transport header. So how it will identify these applications? How the particular packet you can if I capture the packet in the Wireshark, how you identify that this packet is of this application and that application? Is it possible? Applications are all things which are, yes, port number. Very good. Port number will give the major information. Okay, because if from inside I am accessing the port 2021, that means definitely it is carrying out the FTP. If I'm using the port 23, that means it is going for the telnet. If I'm using the port 53, that means DNS service is there. If I'm using a 25 port, that means mail service is there. So immediately based on the port, I can understand what kind of application access is there, whether to allow this application or not. So with the proxy, I can block some of the applications, I can allow some of the applications, so burden get reduced. No need to access the data from the packet. Third is circuit level gateway. This is based on the connection. That from inside these only machines are allowed to connect, outside with these things. That can be very much possible. Nowadays circuit level is not in place. Most of the firewalls are of first two types. One is packet and second is application. Last is Bystone host. It is not firewall. It is one of the configuration that we'll see later. Okay. This is not type of firewall. This is not type of firewall, but one of the component in the firewall which can give the different configurations. This is very simple firewall, which is packet filter router. Okay. So this router can analyze the packet which is coming inside and going outside, and based on the rules implemented, it will take the action whether to allow this packet or whether to drop this packet. So each and every packet is monitored and decision is taken on the basis of rules. This is the function of packet filter. So deciding the rule is very much difficult task for the administrator. So that's why yesterday at the time of discussion what I said is, if I block some particular word which is there in the packet, what happens? Unnecessary, the important or interesting or useful site also get blocked. Okay, because if I block the word called as Facebook, so some of the book sites are also containing that particular word and that get blocked. So deciding that particular rule is very tedious task. It is the job of administrator how to decide, because many times this happens that students are coming, sir, I'm not able to access this particular site. Then we change the rule immediately. The sites which are previously banned can get the access, and again we need to find out the typical things. So that becomes very much complicated, problematic. So it will analyze source IP address, destination IP address, port, and flag bits. Okay, sync and SEK. So that is typically for connection establishment. And again, protocol, whether it is TCP and UDP, direction, and based on that, it will take the decisions. So if you look at the table, this kind of table, you can see simple rules. Okay, protocol is this, so port is this, allowed or not allowed. On that basis, it will take this decision. Action is allow, action is deny. Action is allow, action is deny. So packet filter router applies set of rules for each incoming and outgoing packet. Set of rules for each incoming and outgoing packet. Okay. Filter packet in both direction. Okay, I can set the different rule for incoming packet, different rule for outgoing packets. That is very much easy. And it is based on the field matching. It is not that way very intelligent. So based on the field matching, it will take. And only two policies. One is drop, allow, discard or forward. Only two policies can be implemented with the packet filter firewall, that is allow or drop. Okay. So that's why many times you are getting the message that, dear CCF user, you are not allowed to access this particular site because your particular packet is containing the word which is typically blocked at the firewall. So firewall is giving reply back, as a user you are not allowed to access this particular site. Here that blockage can be user based, that blockage can be device based, that blockage can be time based. Because what we have discussed is most of the sites you want to access from. So if I decide that only library machine can access the typical sites which are outside, then what I will give is I will give the IP addresses from library. They are allowed to use this, but others IP address are not. So what happens is when you sit anywhere outside, this particular site is not accessible, but if you sit in the library, immediately access is possible. That is typically called as IP based access, IP based control. Second is user. If you are first year user, different rules are there. If you are second year, third year, final year, different rules can be implemented. And third is time. So in the class time, that is morning 8 to evening 4, particular sites are not allowed. Evening 5 to morning 8, all other sites are allowed. This kind of. So 3 different things can be implemented. Sorry. Device based, user based, or timing based. As far as advantages are concerned, very simple, no complications are there. I can decide the rule and put in place so that it will work on that. User get complete information. Okay, that if this is blocked, what to do. So what you are doing typically, if you find that particular site is not accessible, what is your reaction? What you are doing? I think for the first year, second year, third year, you have used internet from inside, and many times you come across that this particular site is not accessible to me. Then what you are doing? Or previously, what is your course of action? Got the point? VPN. Okay, that is another part what we have to discuss later, but it is not VPN. VPN is something different. Have you ever used the proxy servers? Tell me frankly, because I have complete log of all the students at what particular time, from which machine, what site they have accessed, what data they have downloaded, everything is logged. Okay, so currently you are not giving answer is not at all the way. I can show you the complete log. That this particular movie you have downloaded at second year or third year in this month from this machine. Okay, or this particular site you have already come across at this particular time at this particular date from this particular machine. Okay, that's why if I open that log, immediately everybody's information is open, available. But we are not doing that. So anybody has used proxy? Because one typical access is not allowed from inside, immediately you are taking help of that and you are accessing that particular site. Okay. Bhushan, yes, okay, no problem. Then at least you are using the network, that is the case. So I can send you the log at which particular time you have used which particular product for what particular site, everything is available. And again, this is mandatory for the organization nowadays, because I think I have given you best example. that many of the cases are going on still. At one particular point, what happened is one of the fellow has written some threatening word for some of the eminent personality. Okay, and that case get registered because that typically on the Facebook. So that case get registered at Pune. Then Pune people start finding who is the culprit. Then they came across the IP and they came to particular point that this particular event has happened from Sangli Walchand College of Engineering. Okay, they get this much information that this particular thing has happened from this IP and this IP is of Walchand College of Engineering. Then they came here and they asked that at this particular time, this particular fellow has done something wrong from your network. The natural first question from our side is what is the user name? Then they told that Chota Chintu. Okay, because whenever I want to do something like this, I'm not disclosing my real identity. I'm doing these things with some different identity. Then we say that Chota Chintu is not at all user from our organization. Then they gave us the date and time at which particular instant this has happened. Then we have complete log available. Okay, and from that log, which particular systems or users have accessed Facebook at that particular time, and after that, from which particular device. Because still in the cyber law, device is the witness, or what we call it as a main evidence, main evidence. So from that they can easily find out which particular device is used, and from that device immediately we can understand who is the user. And that's why every time it is very much essential or mandatory, don't give your username and password to somebody else, because if he does something like this, then problem will be with the user. Okay, got the point? Because many times this kind of things are happening, still many cases are going on, and some are problematic, some are not problematic, but still it is very much easy to find all the things in the network because of this kind of things. Because firewall, unless and until you logged into that, you are not allowed to access the internet. Once you access that, immediately everything get logged. Currently you are sitting from home, still your ISP is fixed, and from that ISP will get the entire log, so that if you say that I have attended the lecture, I can take the log from the ISP, and then I came to know that at this particular time what access you have carried out, whether it is really lecture or some other, because that gives the complete log of internet connection. Okay, interesting. Okay, as there is no overheads, speed also can be high, but when number of users are very huge, then that may be the bottleneck for the network. Okay, two very much disadvantages for this is difficulty in setting up the rules, because that's why I've given the example that if I block something unnecessary, interesting and important site also get blocked. If I open unnecessary sites which are not authorized or authentic can also get open. So deciding rule is very difficult. And there is no authentication mechanism. As simple router is implemented, okay, no authentication mechanism. That who is the user accessing this particular part is not at all there. That's why I need something different there for authentication. For authentication. So implementing simple packet filter firewall, simple, transparent to the user, speed is good, but two major disadvantage, that rules are very complicated. Deciding the rule is very complicated thing. And secondly, authentication mechanism is not there. Then possible attacks: address spoofing, source routing, tiny fragmentation. Okay, these are the different things. Okay. So I can make the address spoof very easily. If at all IP and MAC both spoofing are possible, that's why identity disclosure or device finding out becomes problematic. Source routing, so that if I identify that particular device, immediately I can start attacking that particular part, and then I can capture the data. Or if packets are fragmented, then this becomes difficult. This becomes difficult because same packet containing the same addresses is the part. That's why these are the three different possible attacks. Then second firewall is application level gateway. This is named as proxy. So application specific gateway, full access to the protocol. Okay. So need separate proxies for different services. That is again problematic. Okay. So some services naturally support proxying, some are problematic. In that case, you need to do this. So these are typically available when you are accessing the net from cyber cafe. From the cyber cafe, they will put the proxy so that each and every user get connected to that, and on behalf of you, he is accessing everything. That's why log is maintained, and immediately cyber cafe people will come to know what data you have accessed from which particular site. Okay, so it is again mandatory for them also to maintain the log. That's why it is very much essential. So they need the user information, because if organization is autonomous, then no problem, all the user data is available with this. But for the cyber cafe, the unknown people are coming and accessing this. So that's why authorization and authentication is very important. So they are giving you the particular machine with the token number, so you will get access of that, and after finishing immediately with the timing, connection get disclosed. So this is the application level gateway, where outside connection, inside connection, and this will allow telnet, FTP, SMTP, HTTP based on the different applications. This is also called as a proxy. Because here on behalf of you, here what you can see, it is connection is not like this. Connection is like this. So on behalf of you, this particular is carrying out the task. That's why it is called as proxy. So for outside people, they come to this particular point. They don't know who is the inside is accessing this. Okay. Because here your address for the proxy is 10.10.7. something, and this is the machine. Your address is different. So for outside, this address is exposed, not this address. So this has full access control and needs separate proxies for services to avoid the burden, to avoid the overheads. So telnet proxy, FTP proxy, SMTP proxy, these kind of things are there. Advantages: higher security than packet filter, because it is not at all rule based. That's why more security can be implemented. Only need to scrutinize few of the allowable applications, not necessary to screening all. And very important is log and audit is available. Very important is log and audit is available, because application level gateway or proxy is a simple machine which is having two different interfaces. One is for inside connection, other is for outside connection. And as machine is there, it is very much easy to capture the entire log. It is very much easy to implement the authentication mechanism. Okay. Disadvantage is processing overheads are there on the connection. Processing overheads are there on the connection. Then third is circuit level gateway or circuit level firewall. So it will allow two TCP connection and impose the security by limiting the allowed connection. Okay, and once connection is established, it will relay the traffic. Once connection is established, it will relay the traffic. So it is typically used when inside system is of number of users are less and complete what we call it as a functionality is defined. In that case, this can be applicable. So you see the diagram, then you can understand. For this in connection, this out connection is allowed. Okay, so it will get directly connections. So you can have this kind of connection. You can have this kind of connection. So again, it is simple system with specialized function at the application level. So it will set up two different connections and it will relay the traffic. It will relay the traffic. So security functions consist of different connections typically used in situation the system administrator trusts the internal users and all these things, and this typically SOC packages. Now Bastion host is the interesting agent in the firewall, because from all these firewall what we have come across is no single firewall is suitable. No single firewall is suitable. If I go for the proxy, my packets are not filtered. If I go with the filter, authentication is not there. Circuit level is nowadays out of question. So it is very much essential to have different configurations. So what we're not going to discuss all the configuration, but what we'll discuss is most commonly used configurations we'll discuss, and then we'll go ahead. So Bastion host is secure host system, okay, and provides externally accessible services, okay, so that it is simple machine where I can implement the authentication, authorization things, and rules are also defined. Okay, so we'll see the configuration, then you can understand the things. Yes. So what you can see is this is the intranet and this is the internet. So you can put the Bastion host here and you can put the packet filter firewall here, so that this becomes your, what this area is called? Anybody? What this area is called, because there are two firewalls. One is for the authentication, one is for the packet filter. The area between these two is, anybody? This is demilitarized zone, where I can keep my servers, because if any intruder comes, he may come up to this point, and this Bastion host who is implemented with the authorization will block all these things. Or any inside user, if any intruder is inside, because he has no authentication mechanism, he will not access anything outside. Okay, this is called a screened host firewall. This is called a screen host firewall. So my intranet is protected, which is completely private network. And also to access this particular server, I can put the simple rules here so that anybody and everybody is not typically access this. I can block some of the packets at this point. But this area available to me, which is typically called as, so this is at the same level of trust. What you can see here, these are the same level of trust. Okay, so if I want to access this, I can directly access this, but if I want to go outside, I need authorization, then only allowed to go outside. This is called as screen host firewall. This is called as screen host firewall. So there is one packet filter router, there is one Bystone host. So only packets add to the Bystone host are allowed to pass through the router. So this performs authentication operation. So it is having good security than the single configuration. Okay. And intruder must prevent the two separate systems. One is packet filter, one is Bystone host. And this is not possible. This is not possible. Any intruder can come here, but passing this Bystone host is complicated. And when he comes here, he feels that I am inside the network, but no machine is visible. Now slightly change, this is called a screen host firewall. Here the difference is this. Here what you can see is, I'll erase all. What you can see here is, it is part of this particular system. And here you can see complete isolation. Complete isolation. So this machine with the different addresses. One is global address, one is local address. And this is called a screen host firewall. This is called a screen host firewall. And again, this particular area where I'm keeping my servers is zone created for server area is DMZ. So the packet filter router is not completely compromised. Okay. So traffic between the host and private network has passed through the Bystone host. So I can put the different IP configuration here. So if anybody inside here, what you can see is address is 192.168.2.x. This is giving what information? The actual address is 172.168.xx. So if I get the information that the network containing the address 192.168, what information you are gathering? Got the question? That network is class C, means very small network, no need to attack or anything. But actual network is different. Is it? From outside, when I hit to the network, I'll get the address 192.168.2.x. So what is my perception is, they are using class C network, very small network, no need to hamper them, but actual addresses are different. This is called as complete isolation. because what inside I am using is class B or class A network, but for outsiders it is class C network. So nobody is trying to hit my network because of size of the class C network is very small. That means they feel that this network is very small, no need to do anything, but actual network is something different. Clear? Is it okay? Now third configuration, which is widely used configuration, what you can see is here two packet filter routers are there. One is outside, one is inside, and again one authentication mechanism by Western host. So two level of filtering. I can implement the different rules here, different rules here, and in between that I'm keeping my entire server range, which is typically called as DMZ. Okay, this is the third configuration which is widely used. We'll discuss in detail later. I think I'll get 1, 2, 3 lectures henceforth. So I'll arrange another lecture to complete this particular part. Now you have a lecture at 9, so we'll stop here. Okay, if possible, I'll finish it today only. Okay, thank you.